My daughter-in-law snuck into my room every night, and I kept waking up with mysterious bruises I couldn't explain. "You must have bumped into something, Dad," she'd say sweetly, helping me apply ice to the marks on my arms. I felt so grateful for her care, telling my son how lucky he was to have such a devoted wife. But something didn't feel right about those injuries appearing after taking her evening medications. At 85, this old engineer's instincts told me there was more to this story. So I installed a hidden camera to find out the truth behind those bruises. What I discovered in the darkness changed everything and destroyed the woman I thought I could trust. But before I tell you about that life-changing choice, comment below, where are you watching from, and what time is it there? Let's see how many places this story of an old man's victory reaches. My name is Garrett Whitfield. I'm 85 years old, and I want to tell you about a decision that changed my life forever. Sometimes life takes unexpected turns, and we discover strength we never knew we had. For 40 years, I designed aircraft components at Boeing here in Phoenix. There's pride in knowing parts you created are flying families safely across the country. After my Martha passed 15 years ago, I stayed in our Scottsdale ranch house where we'd raised our son Preston. Every room held memories of birthday parties, homework sessions, and holiday dinners. But 2 years back, things started slipping. Small things, forgetting why I walked into a room, misplacing keys, letting bills pile up. The real wake-up call came when my neighbor, Mrs. Rodriguez, found me in my backyard at 3 a.m., confused and in pajamas. That's when Preston knew something had to change. Dr. Blackwood gave it to me straight. Early-stage dementia, Garrett. You'll need supervision. At 85, I'd seen this coming. Living alone became daily Russian roulette. Forgotten medications, spoiled food that terrifying night I left the stove on. Preston called twice, daily worry creeping into his voice. Then one Saturday afternoon, he and his wife Vivian sat me down at my kitchen table. "Dad, why don't you come live with us?" Vivian, who'd been family for 25 years, jumped in enthusiastically. "We have that spare bedroom, and I work from home 3 days a week. It's perfect." I'd always appreciated Vivian. Community volunteer, kept Preston happy, treated me with genuine warmth. When Preston first brought her home, Martha had whispered, "That one's a keeper." The relief was overwhelming. I dreaded conversations about nursing homes or hired strangers, but family people who loved me, it felt like an answered prayer. We spent a week sorting through 30 years of possessions. I kept the essentials and the precious things, Martha's jewelry, my Boeing plaque, and every photograph of our grandson Xavier, Preston's boy taken by leukemia 8 years ago at 34. That loss had devastated us, but somehow made us closer. Packing Xavier's graduation photo, I could almost hear him, "Stay strong, Grandpa." That young man had faced death with more courage than most people show in life. Preston was recently retired from teaching high school history, so we had time to help. Vivian worked part-time bookkeeping for local businesses, volunteered at the food bank, stayed busy with community activities. They seemed genuinely excited about having me. "You'll love having family around again," Vivian said, arranging my bedroom with care, "and we'll love having you." The room had a large window facing their garden, my reading chair positioned for morning sun. Everything felt right. The comfortable bed, Xavier's photos on the dresser, my books within easy reach. October 15th, 2023, moving day. Preston loaded his pickup while Vivian fussed over details, making sure I had everything I needed. Their enthusiasm was infectious. After years of increasing isolation, I was rejoining a household full of life and laughter. As we drove away from the house where I'd lived for 3 decades, I felt something I hadn't experienced in months, genuine optimism. No more worrying about forgotten stoves or 3 a.m. wandering. No more eating dinner alone while watching the evening news. I'd have family, conversation, shared meals, people who cared about my daily well-being. Sienna, my granddaughter, called that evening from Seattle. "I'm so happy you're with Dad and Vivian now, Grandpa. You'll be safe and loved." Safe and loved. That's exactly how it felt. Moving in with Preston and Vivian seemed like the perfect solution to all my problems. November 2023 brought a new chapter, living with family again after years of solitude. It felt wonderful to be part of a household again, to hear voices and laughter filling the rooms. The transformation was immediate. My bedroom overlooked Vivian's garden, Xavier's photo watching over me from the dresser. Sunlight streamed through windows each morning, and I'd wake to the sounds of family life beginning, coffee brewing, shower, running Preston humming old Beatles songs. Our routine clicked into place like machinery. Breakfast at 7 sharp, Preston heading off to substitute teaching with his travel mug calling back, "Have a good day, Dad." Vivian working from home 3 days a week, her voice drifting from the office during business calls. "How about that sourdough bread you like?" she'd offer before grocery runs. "Maybe those cookies Martha used to buy." The thoughtfulness overwhelmed me. Days found their rhythm. Morning crosswords with coffee. Light gardening in the backyard. Neighbors stopping by. Mrs. Martinez with homemade tamales. The Pattersons waving from their walks. But evenings became magic. We'd gather after dinner, watching news, then Jeopardy. "What is the Battle of Gettysburg?" I'd shout before contestants could buzz in. Preston would laugh. "Dad's still got it, Vivian. Sharp as ever." Weekends meant Home Depot, our sacred tradition. Walking those aisles, breathing lumber scent, feeling good tools in my hands. Not building anymore, but remembering when I could. Vivian managed my medications like a general, driving me to doctor. Blackwood's appointments without complaint. "Take all the time you need, Dad. I brought a mystery novel." Then came Thanksgiving preparations. I shared Martha's stuffing recipe, watching Vivian take careful notes. "Day-old bread and real butter," I explained. "Your grandmother's secret." Stories poured out, holidays when Preston was young, Xavier's first Thanksgiving family traditions spanning decades. Sienna called from Seattle every Sunday. "Grandpa, you sound so happy. I can hear it in your voice." She was right. Genuine contentment filled me for the first time in years. I insisted on paying household expenses. Utilities, groceries, my share. Preston protested, but I stood firm. "I'm not a freeloader, son. Never have been." Dignity mattered. I was contributing family, not charity case. Memory had its moments. Calling Preston by his father's name. Forgetting days of the week. But they handled lapses with infinite patience. "It's Tuesday, Dad," Vivian would say gently. "Preston's at school." Bedtime became peaceful. Reading until 9:30, then settling into comfortable sheets, surrounded by familiar things. No more worrying about forgotten stoves or 3 a.m. wandering. I was safe, cared for. Home. November flew by in comfortable routines and genuine joy. Thanksgiving dinner arrived like a gift. Turkey stuffing, traditional sides. 3 generations around the table sharing stories. Laughter echoing off walls. When Preston asked me to say grace, emotion choked my voice. Thank you for this family who welcomed me with open hearts. I managed, looking at their faces glowing in candlelight. Thank you for second chances. Vivian reached over, squeezing my hand. "We're the lucky ones, Dad." Preston nodded, eyes bright. Family takes care of family. That night, lying in my comfortable bed, I felt something I hadn't experienced in months. Complete peace. No anxiety about tomorrow. No fear of being alone. Just gratitude for this unexpected blessing. The house settled around me with familiar sounds. Preston's snoring down the hall. Vivian's late-night reading light clicking off the furnace, humming to life. Normal family sounds. Safe sounds. For 47 years, I'd lived with Martha in our own home. After she died, 15 years of increasing loneliness followed. But now I had family again. Purpose again. Belonging again. Xavier's photo caught moonlight from the window. "You'd love this, grandson," I whispered. "Your dad and Vivian, they're taking real good care of your old grandpa." As December arrived, I felt more settled and content than I had in years. December brought subtle changes in our household rhythm that I couldn't quite explain. Sometimes our bodies sense things before our minds understand them. Sleep became my enemy. 2-3 times a night I'd jolt awake, heart hammering against my ribs. No nightmares, no obvious reason, just this gnawing feeling that something wasn't right. What's wrong with me? Mornings arrived like punishment. 8 hours in bed, but I felt like I'd been wrestling ghosts. The crossword puzzle, my daily ritual, became a chore. Letters swam on the page. Simple clues stumped me. Is this how it starts? The real decline. Food lost its appeal. Vivian's pot roast tasted like cardboard. I'd move it around my plate, pretending to eat, while my stomach churned with nameless anxiety. 5 pounds melted off in 3 weeks. "You're not eating much, Dad," Preston noticed. If only you knew how little I wanted anything anymore. "Just getting old," I lied. My walks grew shorter. The corner mailbox felt like a marathon. I'd rest on the Martinez family's wall, gasping, wondering when breathing became work. Mrs. Martinez would wave from her window, and I'd wave back, hoping she couldn't see my struggle. 85 years old. Maybe this is just how it ends, piece by piece, day by day. Preston stayed busier. Holiday parties, colleague dinners, shopping trips. The house felt hollow with just Vivian and me rattling around inside it. She kept her routine, work errands, quiet efficiency. Nothing changed in her schedule. So why do I feel like everything's changing? I declined the Hendersons' cookie exchange, turned down the Pattersons' caroling invitation. Social energy felt drained, like someone had pulled a plug I couldn't find. Even Sienna noticed. "You sound tired, Grandpa." Tired doesn't begin to cover its sweetheart. Dr. Blackwood's December appointment revealed nothing. Blood pressure fine, heart strong, weight loss noted but not concerning. "Appetite changes happen," he said. "Your medications are the same." Then why do I feel like I'm disappearing? I started keeping mental tallies. Tuesday 4, wake-ups. Wednesday fell asleep during news. Thursday couldn't finish breakfast. Friday 2 naps. Is my mind finally going? Really going this time? The scary part, I felt sharp during clear moments. I could discuss current events, remember Boeing stories, help with crosswords. But then fog would roll in and I'd call Preston David, or forget what day it was. Selective confusion. That's not how dementia works, is it? Christmas preparations swirled around me. Preston strung lights, Vivian baked cookies. Cinnamon and vanilla scents that should have comforted me felt overwhelming instead. Everything's too much. Too bright. Too loud. Too much. Wrapping presents exhausted me. Addressing Christmas cards felt impossible. Simple tasks became mountains. What's happening to me? December 17th brought the worst night. 9:30, bedtime became 11 p.m., staring at the ceiling. Midnight brought 20-minute dozes, followed by jarring wake-ups. 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., heart racing. But why, what am I afraid of? The house settled with familiar sounds that felt wrong. Preston's snoring seemed menacing. The furnace cycling felt ominous. Xavier's photo caught moonlight, and I found myself whispering to it. "What's wrong with me, grandson? I feel like I'm losing my mind." But not the dementia kind of losing it. Something else. Something darker. By 3 a.m., I was sitting up staring into shadows, feeling an anxiety I couldn't name. My hands shook. My throat felt dry. Every sound made me flinch. This isn't normal aging. This isn't dementia progression. This is something else entirely. The digital clock glowed 3:17 a.m. The house breathed around me, and I felt like an intruder in my own life. Something's different. Something's wrong. But what I couldn't shake the feeling that I was missing something crucial. Some piece of a puzzle I didn't even know I was solving. Tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow I'll figure it out. Something felt different, but I couldn't put my finger on what. December 18th would bring answers to questions I didn't know I was asking. December 18th, 30 a.m. I discovered the source of my unexplained symptoms. Sometimes truth hits you like lightning in the darkness. Footsteps in the hallway. Deliberate. Purposeful. My door opened. "Vivian is everything." "Shut up, old man." The voice froze my blood. Cold. Hateful. This wasn't the woman who'd baked me cookies. She sat on my bed, invading my space. "We need to talk about your pathetic existence." "Old man, she's never, you're destroying my life," she hissed. "Eating my food, wasting my money, taking up space in my house." "Vivian, I don't understand." Her hand shot out, grabbing my wrist. Pain exploded up my arm as her nails dug into my skin. "Listen carefully, you worthless piece of garbage." She squeezed harder. "I could tell, Preston, you tried to hurt me. Dementia patients get violent. Everyone knows that. This can't be happening. I could have you in a state facility tomorrow." She continued twisting my wrist until I gasped. "Those hellholes where they forget to feed you, where you rot in your own filth." Terror flooded through me. At 85 with dementia, who would believe me? She pinched my arm deliberately, leaving bruises. "This is nothing compared to what I can do." "She's planned this. She's done this before." "Please. Please what?" She pinched harder. "Please stop hurting the poor old man." Tears stung my eyes. Not from physical pain, but from the complete destruction of everything I'd believed about my safety here. "If you tell Preston I'll make your remaining years pure hell," she whispered, her face inches from mine, I'll convince him you're losing your mind completely. She stood up, looking down at me like I was an insect. Preston trusts me. He loves me. You're just a confused old fool whose brain is rotting. She smiled, a terrifying expression. Who do you think he'll believe? She's right. God help me. She's right. Sweet dreams, Daddy, she mocked. Think about how helpless you really are. The door clicked shut. I lay there, shaking my wrist, throbbing small bruises already forming on my arm. Everything made sense now. The fatigue, the anxiety, the feeling of being watched. My body had been trying to warn me. How long has this been happening? How many nights have I forgotten the sleeping pills? The extra medication she'd been giving me. For better sleep, she'd said. Now I understood. She'd been drugging me, then coming to torment me while I was semi-conscious. That's why I've been so tired, so confused. She's been poisoning me. My mind raced through the past month. The weight loss, she'd been controlling my food. The memory problems, the drugs, the isolation from neighbors. She'd been cutting me off from potential help. This is systematic, calculated. She's been destroying me piece by piece. Preston slept soundly down the hall, completely unaware that his wife had just terrorized his father. The same woman who'd held my hand at Thanksgiving dinner had just threatened to put me in hell. What kind of monster does this to an old man? I touched my wrist, where her nails had broken skin. Physical evidence, but who would believe it came from sweet, caring Vivian? The digital clock glowed 3:17 a.m. The house settled around me, but nothing felt safe anymore. Every sound could be her returning. I'm trapped. Completely trapped. At 85 years old, I'd survived World War II, raised a son, buried my wife, and built airplanes that soared through the sky. But I'd never felt as small and helpless as I did in that moment. I lay there in the darkness, realizing I was in serious trouble and completely alone. December 18th, 7:30 a.m., I discovered the source of my unexplained symptoms. Sometimes truth hits you like lightning in the darkness. Tonight was different. My stomach had been churning with worry all evening. When Vivian brought my usual sleeping pills, nausea made it impossible to swallow them. Just try Dad, she'd insisted, but I couldn't keep anything down. Now, lying in bed with my mind clearer than it had been in weeks, I heard deliberate footsteps in the hallway. My door opened. Instead of Preston, Vivian's silhouette filled the doorway. Vivian is everything. Shut up, old man. The words froze my blood. This wasn't the caring daughter-in-law who'd baked me cookies. The woman entering my room was a complete stranger. We need to discuss your pathetic existence, she said, sitting on my bed, uninvited. Old man, you're destroying my life, she hissed. Eating my food, wasting my money, ruining my marriage. Her hand shot out, seizing my wrist. Pain exploded up my arm as her nails dug into fragile skin. I could tell, Preston, you attacked me, she whispered, twisting until I gasped. Dementia patients become violent. Everyone knows that. This can't be happening. I could have you committed tomorrow, locked in some hellhole where they forget to feed you. Terror flooded through me. At 85, with documented dementia, who would believe me over her? She pinched my arm viciously, deliberately creating bruises. This is nothing compared to what I can do. She's done this before. She knows exactly how to hurt me. Please stop. Please. She laughed like breaking glass. The great engineer reduced to begging. She twisted the skin on my arm until tears filled my eyes. If you tell Preston, I'll make your remaining years pure hell, she whispered, face inches from mine. I'll convince him you're completely insane. Every word is calculated, every threat planned. Preston adores me, trusts me completely. Her smile was terrifying. You're just a confused old man whose brain is rotting. Who will he believe? The logic was crushing. She was right. I control everything now. Your medications, your food, who you see. You exist at my discretion. She stood looking down at me with disgust. Sweet dreams, Daddy, she mocked. Dream about how helpless you are. The door clicked shut. I lay there, shaking my wrists, throbbing where her nails had broken skin. Small bruises were forming on my arm. Now everything makes sense. My mind, sharper than it had been in a month without those sleeping pills, began connecting the dots. Those evening medications, to help you sleep, she'd said. That's why my mornings have been so foggy. She's been drugging me. The weight loss, controlled portions, the isolation from neighbors, discouraged visits, the memory problems, extra medication clouding my thoughts. How many nights has she come here while I was barely conscious? How many times has she done this while I was too drugged to remember? Tonight, I remembered everything because I hadn't taken her poison. Down the hall, Preston slept peacefully, unaware that his wife had just terrorized his father. The same woman who'd held my hand at Thanksgiving had just threatened to destroy me. What kind of monster lives this double life? The physical pain was nothing compared to the complete destruction of safety and trust. Everything I'd believed about my life here had been a lie. At 85, I'd survived war and loss, but I'd never felt as vulnerable as I did in that moment. The digital clock glowed 3:17 a.m. Every shadow seemed threatening. Every sound could be her returning. I'm trapped. Completely trapped. Preston would never believe his beloved wife could do this. I was an old man with dementia making wild accusations against the woman who cared for me so devotedly. I lay there in the darkness, realizing I was in serious trouble and completely alone. January 8th through 15th became my preparation week. 7 days to plan my survival. I was going to use my engineering mind to solve the biggest problem of my life. The decision crystallized that Tuesday morning. After 3 weeks of escalating abuse, I had two choices: become a victim or fight back. At 85, I chose to fight. My research began at 5 a.m. while the house slept. Fingers that had once designed aircraft components now navigated Google searches, Arizona elder abuse laws, evidence requirements, prosecution, hidden camera legal. The learning curve was steep, but my mind felt sharper than it had in months, without Vivian's nightly poison clouding my thoughts. Video evidence was crucial. Every legal website emphasized the same point: documentation beats testimony, especially when the victim has dementia. I needed proof that couldn't be dismissed or explained away. January 10th brought my first breakthrough. I called attorney Maxine Thornton, found through the Arizona Bar Association website. I'm calling about a hypothetical elder abuse situation, I told her receptionist. Maxine took my anonymous call. Video evidence is your strongest weapon, she advised. Document everything. Medical records, photographs, recordings. But be careful. If discovered, the abuse could escalate. It's already escalating. She threatened to get creative last night. I spent hours researching surveillance technology, motion-activated cameras with night vision, audio recording capabilities, cloud storage options. For an 85-year-old who still struggled with his smartphone, it was overwhelming. But I'd spent 4 decades solving complex engineering problems. This was just another puzzle requiring systematic analysis. January 12th, detailed planning phase. I sketched my bedroom layout, calculating optimal camera angles. The bookshelf across from my bed offered perfect positioning. Xavier's memorial photo frame could conceal a small device. Lighting conditions mattered. Arizona winter meant darkness by 6 p.m. I needed infrared capability for nighttime recording. Audio quality was crucial. Vivian's threats had to be clearly audible. Installation logistics required military precision. Vivian grocery shopped Tuesdays and Thursdays, usually gone 2 hours. Preston substituted at different school schedules, varying weekly. I needed a window when both were absent. January 13th, financial preparation. At the bank, I withdrew $350 cash from my personal savings account, money I'd carefully saved from my monthly Social Security payments over the past year. The teller. Mrs. Williams smiled warmly. Something special planned, Mr. Whitfield. Just some home improvements. I lied, hating the deception, but knowing it was necessary. No paper trail. No credit card records. Nothing Vivian could trace if she examined our joint finances. This was my money earned through 40 years of work, saved for emergencies. If this wasn't an emergency, nothing was. January 14th brought the crucial call to secure home systems. I need discrete security cameras, I told the receptionist. Recent break-ins in the neighborhood have me worried. The installer, Jake Martinez, could come Tuesday, January 16th at 10 a.m. Perfect timing. Vivian's grocery day, Preston at Mesa High School. We specialize in discrete installations, sir. You won't even know it's there. That's exactly what I need. January 15th, final preparations. I reviewed every detail obsessively. Installation timing, evidence collection strategy, legal, next steps. My engineering background demanded contingency planning for every variable. What if Vivian returned early? What if Preston became suspicious? What if the camera malfunctioned? That evening, Vivian's visit was particularly brutal. She'd brought a leather belt. "Tomorrow I might have to get creative with your punishment," she whispered after striking my back. "Maybe it's time to show you what real pain feels like." I endured it silently, knowing this torture would end soon. Each strike strengthened my resolve. After she left, I sat. Xavier had faced leukemia with incredible bravery. Surely I could find the strength to face one cruel woman. My plan was solid. Legal consultation complete. Equipment, research, everything hinged on the next 20. January 16th. January 16th, 10:15 a.m. A $350 camera became my lifeline to justice. Sometimes the smallest devices can capture the biggest truths. Perfect timing. Preston left for work at 9:45. Vivian departed for grocery shopping at 10 Sur, estimating 2 hours away. The secure home systems van arrived exactly on schedule. Jake Martinez stepped out, professional discreet, carrying a small toolbox. "Mr. Whitfield here about your security consultation." Jake was experienced mid-40s with kind eyes that noticed my healing finger but asked no questions. "Break-ins in the area have me worried," I explained. "Let's make you feel safer, sir." In my bedroom, Jake surveyed the layout quickly. "That bookshelf's perfect. Good angles, excellent lighting." The camera was tiny, matchbox-sized. HD 1080p infrared night vision, sensitive audio. Everything I needed in one device. "Where would you like it?" I pointed to Xavier's memorial frame. "Behind that photograph." Jake examined it. "Perfect camouflage. Captures the entire room." His work was surgical, precise, professional. He installed the camera behind Xavier's photo, completely invisible. Wireless connection, cloud storage, motion activated. He explained, showing me the tablet. 30-day battery life. Testing was flawless. Jake left the room, returned, and we watched crystal clear footage. His face perfectly recognizable. "Audio test," he whispered from the corner. Every word captured clearly. "This system records everything. Video, audio, timestamps. Whatever you're dealing with, the evidence will be undeniable." He knows. Somehow he understands. Quick tutorial. Access footage. Download videos. Save evidence. Red recording light hidden behind Xavier's frame. $350 cash. No receipt offered. Whatever situation you're facing, sir, I hope this helps. You deserve to feel safe in your own home. By 11:45, Jake was gone. To neighbors' routine maintenance. No visible changes. Xavier's photo exactly as before, but now guarding more than memories. I tested the system. Motion activation worked. Night vision switched automatically. Everything perfect. Vivian returned at 12:30. "How was your morning, Dad?" "Quiet. Just how I like it." Tonight won't be quiet. Evening brought normal dinner. Normal conversation, but I felt different. Empowered, no longer helpless. 10 p.m. bedtime routine. Camera active, tiny red light glowing behind Xavier's photo. "Help me tonight, grandson," I whispered. Lights out. Night vision engaged. Everything ready. The wait began. Would she come tonight? The camera was motion activated, cloud connected, battery powered. Whatever happened would be recorded in HD with perfect audio. This ends tonight, one way or another. I lay in darkness, heart pounding, knowing that decades of engineering problem solving had led to this moment. The camera Jake installed wasn't just surveillance equipment. It was my weapon against systematic abuse. 40 years at Boeing designing components for aircraft that carried families safely across the country. Now I'm designing my own safety system. The house settled around me. Preston snoring down the hall. The furnace cycling. Normal sounds that had become ominous over the past month. But tonight felt different. Tonight I wasn't defenseless. The digital clock glowed 2 a.m., then 2:10, then 2:15. Footsteps in the hallway. My heart hammered as the camera began recording. Motion detected. Night vision activated. Audio recording commenced. This is it. Everything I've planned, researched, and prepared for comes down to the next few minutes. The footsteps grew closer. Deliberate. Purposeful. My bedroom door opened, and I knew the most important recording of my life was about to begin. January 19th, 15 a.m. My camera captured the longest night of my life. Sometimes justice comes down to undeniable video evidence. Vivian entered carrying a plastic bag. Her face held pure murderous intent. "Tonight, I end your miserable existence, you worthless bastard." The camera captured everything in HD. "This will look natural," she whispered. Poor old man suffocated in his sleep. The plastic came down over my face. "She's trying to kill me." I fought, clawed, gasped for air. "Die already, you stubborn fool." The camera sees everything. The torture lasted nearly an hour. Suffocation, release, repeat. I should have killed you weeks ago instead of playing games. When I went limp, she checked my wrist quickly but missed my weak pulse. "Finally dead. Should have done this the first night." She staged the scene, talking to my corpse. "Anna Preston will find you peacefully passed. Heart failure. So expected." Every word recorded. 3:02 a.m. She left satisfied with her perfect murder. I lay barely breathing, throat crushed, but alive. Alive with complete evidence. 6:30 a.m. Preston knocked. "Dad, breakfast is ready." Finding me barely conscious, he panicked. "Oh my God, what happened?" I whispered. "Check. Camera." She tried. "Kill me." He called 911, found the camera behind Xavier's photo. The evidence, everything's there. Paramedics documented strangulation injuries. Officer Garrison watched the footage. "This is the clearest attempted murder I've ever seen." 8:30 a.m. They arrested Vivian in the kitchen. "Officers, what's wrong?" "You're under arrest for attempted murder." Her mask shattered as handcuffs clicked. Preston's shock. "I lived with a monster." Now everyone knows the truth. Hospital. News coverage. Video evidence made conviction inevitable. Charges attempted murder, first degree. Elder abuse. That horrific night saved my life. D.A. Melanie Blackstone. She's looking at 25 years to life. The trial was swift. HD recording showed premeditated murder attempt. Guilty verdict, all counts. Sentence 25 years to life. Justice served. Preston divorced immediately. Sienna flew in. "Grandpa, you're the bravest man I know." That $350 camera worked perfectly. Every specification delivered when needed most. Engineering solutions for survival. The camera recorded my refusal to die quietly. At 85, I learned survival isn't about strength. It's about intelligence planning and refusing to be a victim. Sometimes the smallest devices capture the biggest truths. The woman who'd held my hand at Thanksgiving tried to murder me in my sleep. But technology determination and Preston's morning wake-up call defeated her. The complete video evidence, her face, her confession, the plastic bag, the systematic torture, destroyed any defense. Her lawyer couldn't argue against HD footage of premeditated attempted murder. 40 years designing aircraft components and my final engineering project saved my own life. From my hospital bed, I watched them take her away in handcuffs. The sweet facade was gone. Only the monster remained finally exposed. She tried to silence me forever. Instead, I found my voice. At 85, I'd survived war loss and now attempted murder. But I'd never felt stronger than watching justice being served. From my hospital bed, I watched them take her away in handcuffs, knowing justice would finally be served. 8 months later, I sat in the courtroom watching a would-be murderer sentenced to 25 years in prison. Xavier would have been proud his grandfather hadn't gone down without a fight. Recovery was brutal, 3 days hospitalized with severe throat trauma, and months of PTSD nightmares. Yet for the first time in months, I felt hope. Justice was coming. The charges were devastating attempted murder, elder abuse, financial fraud. My attorney, Maxine Thornton, promised. This video evidence will revolutionize elder abuse prosecution. Preston divorced Vivian immediately. I lived with a monster for 25 years and never knew. His guilt was deep, but his support constant. Sienna moved back from Seattle. "Grandpa, you're the bravest person I know. Real family stands by you when it matters most." September 2024, the trial began under massive media attention. Headlines dominated every outlet. District Attorney Melanie Blackstone played the footage 20 minutes of attempted murder in crystal clear HD. Jurors gasped. Some wept openly. Technology reveals truths words cannot. My testimony became the emotional peak. Walking to the stand with my cane, I looked straight at Vivian. "You tried to silence me forever," I said, my voice steady despite the damage. "But my voice is stronger now than ever." Oh, that moment defined everything. After 2 hours of deliberation, guilty on all counts. The judge's sentence was swift and severe. 25 years in prison, no parole for 20. It was the ultimate betrayal of trust and finally justice. Recovery brought unexpected purpose. I began speaking nationwide about elder abuse awareness. Technology saved my life, but courage saved my soul became my signature message. At 86, I'd found my true calling. The Whitfield case set legal precedents nationwide. Prosecutors now cite it for enhanced elder abuse sentencing. My message resonated everywhere. Elder abuse escalates from verbal cruelty to physical violence to attempted murder. Trust your instincts. Document everything. Video evidence saves lives. Age isn't helplessness. Giving up is. These weren't slogans, they were survival truths. The story went national. They called me a hero, but I was simply determined to live. One $350 camera changed everything. Today, Vivian sits behind bars. My family grew closer through tragedy. Thousands of seniors learned they don't have to suffer silently. Help exists. National Elder Abuse Hotline, 1-800-677-1116. Advocacy energizes me. Speaking to seniors, caregivers, and families, I see recognition in their eyes. My story gives permission to speak up, seek help, and refuse victimhood. Each talk might prevent another tragedy. At 86, I learned survival isn't about strength. It's about strategy, resilience, and refusing to surrender. They tried to bury me. They didn't know I was a seed. My message to anyone facing abuse. Elder abuse is epidemic. Trust your gut. Technology is your weapon. You're never too old to fight back. Silence protects abusers. Truth protects victims. Abuse thrives in darkness, but truth brings justice. Looking back at my journey, I realize this true story taught me that we're never too old to fight for ourselves. But I pray you never have to endure what I did. Don't wait like I did. Don't ignore the warning signs. Don't let pride or embarrassment stop you from seeking help immediately. Grandpa stories like mine shouldn't have to exist, but they do. And they're more common than you think. God gave me the strength to survive those dark nights when I thought all hope was lost. The Lord guided my hands as I set up that camera, though I didn't realize it then. And Christ's grace carried me through the recovery and into this new purpose of helping others. Here's what this true story taught me. Trust your instincts. Document everything. Use technology to protect yourself. Most importantly, never give up, because Grandpa stories can have triumphant endings when we refuse to be victims. At 86, I've learned that our greatest trials often become our most powerful testimonies. My nightmare became my mission, protecting other vulnerable seniors from predators who hide behind loving masks. If you found value in this Grandpa Stories episode, please share it with someone who might need to hear it. Your comment below could encourage another person to speak up. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss these true story testimonials that might just save a life. Remember, you're never too old to fight back, and you're never alone in the battle. God bless and stay strong.